I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I have 4 of my amazing clients from Mama to CEO on a call on the episode with me today. And we are talking about their amazing wins. So these are all clients who have had some wins that they have recently shared in the group and all around 5K months or more. And so I really wanted to invite them on and have a talk about it, like how they did it and all the things that all of you listening are going to want to know. So first, Halima, tell me a little bit about you. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Halima Hanneman. I've been a wedding planner for over 10 years, but now I help wedding planners create a full-time income in their business so they can quit their 9 to 5. They can focus on wedding planning being their full-time income so they can pay their bills and actually make this their full-time thing.
I love it. Okay. So tell me a little bit about where you were with your business when you joined Mama to CEO.
So when I started doing coaching, it was probably the middle to end of 2019. And I think I made $100 that year. So I was always investing in coaching. I knew that building my wedding planning business was easy for me. Like I could sell huge packages like nothing, and that was service-based business, but this was completely different. So I knew I needed to invest in something to help me. And so did invest in several programs over the years that didn't really help. So I found you, I think I actually found you from your Facebook group originally. And I have to say, for a while, I was not your biggest fan.
I love this. Tell me more about this.
So I think I don't know, I would ask questions and you're so real and honest. I think I needed to hear it, but I wasn't ready for it at the time. And I was just like, oh, she's so rude, whatever. And just like it put a bad taste in my mouth. Going back, I'm like, yeah, because I needed to hear it. And you were just helping. So, but from then I just I watched like your free stuff that you did. And I think I finally jumped on a call with you at one point. I just wasn't ready. Still was just kind of like on the fence, wasn't sure because I've invested in so many programs. And so finally I joined Mama to CEO the end of last year. So October of last year. And I knew probably for a few months, I was like, I'm going to join. This is what I want to do. And you weren't open. It wasn't open enrollment. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit on my hands and wait till I can get in. And I did time redesigned. And then I finally went through it all. I was like, oh, I can jump in right now. This is awesome. So I did. And yeah, I've been continuing the program since then.
I love it. So good. Okay. So how much did you make last year in your business?
Last year, I made about $3,000.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then you made 7,000 cash in January and 10K in sales.
Yes. I sold 10K and yeah, got 7 in cash.
Okay. That's like really wild.
Yes, it was mind blowing. So I knew like my goal for this year was maybe like 50,000, 60. That meant, I didn't have to go teach because I have 1 more year pre-K and my degree's in education, but I didn't want to do wedding planning anymore. So that was my goal. And I did your design 22 and you're like, just 6 figures. Why not? Like that should be your goal. And if you don't make it, you're still making a lot of money. Yeah. It's like, okay, sure. And then I was calculating all my January money and I was like, that's a lot of money. Like 5K was my goal. Yeah. And then I doubled it, just like having fun with my business, which is crazy.
Yes. So what do you think was like the aha that made that happen for you?
So I think the biggest aha was probably how you say, like, it's in our hands. We can create the money. And I was sitting around one day in January and I was just like, I'm frustrated. Like I had one client jump in the end of last year and then kind of nothing. And I was like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to create it. Like, let's see if I can create this money. Let's see what happens. And created a whole lot of money. And it was just like, wow, like I could do this just because I put myself into it and completed it and just like went through and just like tried some things and made it fun. And I think that was a big shift. It wasn't just, I have to do this and this and this and this. Like I was showing up because I enjoyed it and it was fun and coming from a place of serving people and once I was like, oh, just let's see if I can create it. And knowing that I did, and then it kept happening, I think that was probably the biggest shift.
Yeah. What did it look like in your actions with what you were doing when you decided, I'm going to see if I can create this? Like, what changed?
I think probably just having fun with my business. I know I said that, but just it's my business. Like it should be run my way. And I think for so long I was doing like the checkbox of what everyone told me to do. And it didn't feel right. It just felt off. And so I went through your Copy That Compels, and that was super helpful because I felt like I could actually get into the minds of my clients and just seeing like what they needed, like what they needed help with, and getting on calls with them and talking through things, just like you always say, human to human conversation, like just talk to them. It's not, shouldn't be anything scary. It should just be something that you can just do easily and like have a conversation and see how you can help them. And I think that was probably the biggest shift, is that when I would get on these calls, it wasn't so like, okay, tell me this and tell me this, and like a checkbox of everything. It was a more of a fluid conversation, and it felt more comfortable to both of us.
Yeah, I love that so much. I really think like there's so many people out there that teach like this is the one way to do it and like follow the script and all that. And I think being a human, just connecting with another human, as we all are able to do, like in our friendships and with family and that kind of thing, like bringing that into your business can be such a game changer because your clients, your audience, they're people too.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is so
Absolutely.
good. Okay, amazing. So next up, I want to hear from Emma. So you had a
Okay.
post that was pretty amazing that I'm going to talk about in a second, but I want you to first introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Emma Ketirai. I'm a certified Dipsada specialist and a web designer, and I help women with online businesses provide a more elevated client experience through strategic sites and systems.
Amazing. So tell me where you were when you joined.
I've heard you describe this about yourself in some of your episodes. I was that person that had signed up for all the freebies, had done all the courses, I'd spent so much money, and I still was stuck. So I realized that I needed something else. And I had seen Christy Cooper talk about you and her results. So I reached out to her and I asked her, who is this coach that you're talking about? And she introduced me to you. And I did Design 2020. And that's when I was like, Samantha's the coach for me, because I needed something simple. I had tried so many things, I'd learned so much, but I still wasn't getting the results that I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. So then the post that I saw from you where I was like, oh, I have to talk to her was about last year. I think you wrote this like in January, and you were saying you looked at all of the times that you had made 5K last year. And it ranged from 141 days to make 5K to 8 days to make 5K. And you had so many good thoughts about that. So I would love to hear more and like just have you share.
Sure. So yeah, I did an analysis of 2021 in January. In the past, I'd done a very like top level, I'd beat myself up, I hadn't hit my goals and just moved on. And this year I said, I'm done with that. I really need to dig deep and understand. And so I got curious and I looked at how quickly I had made 5K. I knew I had hit 5K, it was actually 6K in August, but I never realized how quickly I had hit a 5K. It was in 8 days and I was just blown away. How did I not notice? And so I went looking for evidence, like what happened? How did I do this? And my first reaction was to look on Instagram, and it wasn't there. Like I was posting, I was showing up, but that wasn't what had caused that change. So I looked in my journal, and I'll admit I didn't journal much last year. And out of the few pages that I had filled out, those 2 weeks where I had made the 5K was when I was doing the belief work. Every day I sat down, I thought about my goal. What do I want to hit? Like I want to make 5K in August. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident am I that I'm going to hit this? And I was never a 10. I was somewhere from like 5 to 8. And then, why? And that's when a lot of the stuff came out. How I'm worried about how other people perceive me. People don't like me. I can't connect with people. Like, I'm shy and introverted. So a lot of this comes out. And I realized, so what do I need to think if I want to hit my goal, if I want to be a 10 out of 10? And that's when I consciously replaced that thought with, I can do this. I provide a valuable service. I can help people. I have nothing to lose by reaching out to people and asking them. So during that time, what happened is I was making a lot more bold requests. I was reaching out to people I'd had discovery calls with, and just, there wasn't a clear yes or no. So I just simply reached back and I said, where are you at? We had this conversation, if you still need help, I'm here for you. And people signed up. And then the other thing that I did was, in the past, I hadn't been so great with boundaries. So I had projects that had continued for months and months, and I hadn't closed those. So I simply reached out to those clients and I said, look, our time is up, project's done. Here's your invoice, thank you. And so with that alone, I made like 6,500, I think. It was something like that in August. That's incredible. I hadn't even realized that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So good that you looked back and saw that. That's amazing. I think it's so aligned with what I teach too, which is why I loved your post so much, that like when you come into the program, you are working towards 5K months, and like people come in with all kinds of different goals. And I really recommend that the first milestone we're looking at is the 5K month one. And just seeing like how long does it take for me to do it? So like for you, that was like 141 days. That feels like so long, but however long it takes, then it's like, I know how to make 5K. Like I know what that requires. And now the next time I make 5K, I can do it simpler, easier, faster, and just get better and better at making 5K until like you can do it in 8 days instead of, almost 150 days. So I think it's such a good lesson in how business works. I still think about that with my business. Like this year, the thing I'm focused on is that each next million I make is simpler and easier, and I'm calmer, and the experience of it is better. And I'm just like refining how I make each million over time. And like that starts with the 5K month. So I love that you shared that. That is just really incredible. So it sounds like that belief work was like the key thing.
Definitely. And since I realized that, I've been doing it like almost every day. Like, I miss a few days here and there, and I have booked more discovery calls in this month than I have in the past 6 months combined.
Yeah. This is why it is so important to evaluate. Otherwise, you would have never known that you made 5K that quickly. You never would have looked to see how you did it, and you wouldn't be replicating it. You'd be still sitting there being like, I don't know how to make money. That August thing was such a fluke. Instead of, no, I know exactly how I did it. And now I'm doing that again. And I'm seeing the results from that again.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
is so good. So good. I think this is the thing. Like, so many people are like, no, it's like all about strategy for business, and like anything mindset related is just like fluff. And I think like for so many of us, like we just have a mind full of unhelpful thoughts that is not helping us show up in the way that we need to. And for so many of us, just working on the thoughts to get ourselves out there, being more bold, that is the game changer. So I love that that was your big turning point. So good. All right, Michelle.
Hi.
Hello. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Joyner, and I'm the Christian dating coach. I coach single Christian women who are literally the total package, but just lacking in confidence with men. And I take them from just pray and wait to like pray and take action and build connection and build chemistry and totally change their interactions with guys.
I love this so much. Such a good like message. Okay. So tell me about where you were when you first joined.
Well, I actually feel as though I've known about you from the very start of my business. I heard you interview when you were interviewing at Building 200K with Stacey Bayman. And I was just like, I stopped what I was doing instantly. I didn't even have kids, Samantha, at the time. I was like, but I'm going to be a mama and I need to be in her world just because of your energy. So I started watching. I first instantly joined your free Facebook group. And I started watching like your free webinars, but I had invested in a lot of other things. Like I had invested in coach certification. I had just done that. It was like $18,000, and I had invested in another life coach. I had already invested. So I really just stayed kind of in your free world, and I built up about $6,000 in my business over a period of a year. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time for business coaching. I loved my certification and I love the life coaching that I got, but it was time to really like be strategic. And that's when I signed up for Mom to CEO.
I love this. Okay. So then what has happened is I saw a post from you also in January that it was your first 5K month.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like you had another post where you were saying in 2021, you tripled your business income. And I also wanted to just call out, you had babies, you had twins during that year as well. And I think there's just like so much there, like so many results to celebrate. So I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on like the results you've gotten in the program.
Yeah. Well, I think really what I consider the biggest result is that I have this mindset that it's not just a mindset, it's a reality that I'm creating. I call it a 300K business. A 300K, that's like my dream, juicy, exciting goal. And I'm doing it. Like my business is a 300K business. And I kind of borrow that from you, because you have this certainty that you give us where it's like, no, it's gonna happen. The popcorn is in the microwave, it's gonna pop, it's silent right now, but the heat is happening. And like you just infuse this certainty in us all the time. So I walk around thinking like, well, I'm building a 300K business. And I just give myself credit. It's like losing 100 pounds, you actually don't just lose 100 pounds, you like lose 1 pound and half a pound. So like you said, like I did have all these wins. Like I signed clients in the hospital when my twins were in the NICU, or I actually something as simple as like a new follower, like more followers on Instagram, growing my Instagram. I take little snapshots and screenshots every time I get new followers. And I'm literally collecting celebrations. I collect them. I give myself credit all the time. And so I just sit in all these wins all the time. And the reality that, oh, I'm building a 300K business.
This is so good. I hope like everybody who listens to this is going to start doing this, because I think like this is so key. It's so easy to have this big goal and to only notice how far away you are from it instead of how far you've come. And it is so important for all of us, like at every level of business, to always be looking at like behind you, like the wins and what you've overcome and what you've accomplished and created, more than like the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That is so, so good. So I know that like it hasn't always been super easy. I remember lots of times like coaching you where like it wasn't like immediately come in and immediate 5K month. So I'm curious, like, what were the thoughts that you had that like kept you going?
Mm-hmm. It has to be this way. This is the way it's supposed to be. You have to get your no's. You have to get your quote unquote rejections. I use that term because my clients use that term with guys. And I just literally think like, I look at my beautiful babies, it literally had to be this way. I had to wait and be single forever. It felt like before I got my wonderful husband and my beautiful baby. So my thought is literally, this is my journey. It has to be this way, but it's gonna happen. Like one of the thoughts that I give my clients is, your future husband is out there You just need to find him. You just need to meet him. Your future husband is out there. You just need to meet him. And I just like kept that thought in my mind, like, I wonder who I'm going to meet next. I wonder who my next client is going to be. And I just lived in certainty.
This is incredible. Like, this is the secret. On this call, we are giving all the secrets of how to be successful. This is so, so good. I think there are so many people who get so discouraged building their business because they think they should be further along. Like, they shouldn't be where they are right now. And then they have so much resistance to where they are right now that they don't grow. And for you, like what you're saying is like, this is the journey. Like, where I am right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And what I want to happen is happening. It's so good.
But also, I don't let myself create unnecessary pain for myself. Like, it just feels worse to feel like, oh, it's not going the way it should. It just feels worse.
Yeah.
And I just don't go there.
That's so smart, because it is like, I think in the moment, for people who think that, it feels like the truth. They're like, I should be further along. That's just a true fact, when really, like, that's just a thought that makes it so much more painful. Like you said, it's like, for your clients, I'm sure they have thoughts like, I shouldn't be single, or like, this is never going to happen. And they make their singleness mean that they're never going to be married, when really, like, it just means they're not married today, not that they will never be married.
Yeah. And when you can just rejoice that, like, when you do meet your husband, you're going to be so glad that you went through all of this and it didn't happen for you because you got him. Mm-hmm. Then you can just save yourself all the drama of like, oh, God wants me to be single forever. Like, I'm just going to give up. You just like ditch all that and like be happy for that future life that is going to come to you.
So good. What do you think was like the turning point for you in making this money, making the 5K month?
Well, I really kind of feel as though it was a progression of learning. Like, I had to really transform. Like, I went through a lot of transformations and you kind of helped me through a lot of them. I remember when I was doing workshops and the topic just wasn't a good topic. And you were like, Michelle, you should talk about the 5 mistakes keeping Christian women single. And I just blew up on Facebook ads, and everyone was buying my Facebook ads and like signing up on my email list and coming to my workshops because I had fixed that. And then my offer wasn't so great. So I got like 50 no's last summer in consult calls or more. And I finally realized this offer kind of sucks. So I had to come up with like a better thing that was more juicy and more attractive. And so I kind of went through that learning process and I tried things and like crashed and burned and then picked myself up. And like it really was a process of like getting lots of no's and seeing that things just didn't work out. And I used to I used to be an engineer. And that's kind of how it happened too, where, your boss would give you an assignment and you don't know how to do it and no one knows how to do it. So you can't ask anyone and you can't read anywhere, this is how you do it. You literally just have to like try things and then totally fail and try other things. And it's just a learning process until you figure it out. And then you're writing your final report and it's like, oh, this is how I did it. But you had to learn on the go and figure it out.
Yeah, that is so true. I think I just feel like every week in Mama to CEO, there's somebody who's like, just tell me like the way to do it or the right thing. And I would if there was a right thing or a one right way. But like you said, there isn't. Like, nobody has built your business before. And so you really are just like taking what you do have and what you do know and building from there and being willing to learn as you go. And I think holding that belief that if you continue to do that, you will figure it out, I think is just so powerful.
One thing that helps me is realizing that I am guaranteeing my success by not giving up. As long as you don't give up, you're going to succeed. End of story.
Mhm.
And it's just like when we went to college, like nobody guaranteed us a job. They totally made us pay them for tuition and they didn't guarantee us a job. We literally guaranteed ourselves a job because we were like, no, I got to get a job. So I'm just going to keep sending out resumes until I do. And then you get a job. You're
Yeah.
guaranteed success if you don't quit.
Yeah. It's so true. It's definitely how it works. I love that. So good. Okay, Victoria, introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Victoria Yates, and I am a food and body image coach for women. I help women eat healthy without dieting and stop hating their bodies.
I love it. And I think maybe you're the newest to Mama to CEO in this group today. Tell me about where you were when you joined.
Yeah, this is like so surreal because I joined in December with the last opening. And I had been at that point, I had been coaching for the last 5 years. I had started my business, my background's in nursing, so I was still working as a nurse. And the most I had made ever was in 2020 and 2021. I made 6,000 both years total. And I was doing it all. I was blogging like at one point 3 times a week and had a podcast and was like just goodness burning the candle at both ends. I also had 2 babies in the last 2 years. I felt like I so resonated when I connected with you because you had shared a similar thing of like just trying to do all the things that you read online. Like my background's nursing. I knew nothing about business. And so all the things that I read was like, you just have to do more and do more and do more. And so I was putting out all this content for 5 years, like very consistently, but not making hardly any money. Oh, I also had a membership. So like played around with that. And so in 2020, 6,000, 2021, 6,000. And then I learned about I just learned about you and I loved the mindset approach because I've tried the business coaching, like strategy coaching, and it did not work. And I realized I had this like awakening that I realized that I was just big time holding myself back with lots of self-doubt and insecurity and imposter syndrome. And I did a lot of the mindset work and just tweaked a couple things. And in January, I made 7,500, which is crazy. And I'm going to make 9,000 this month.
Yeah.
So
Can you
crazy.
believe that? Like January more than in all of last year.
No, I can't. I'm literally in shock. Yeah.
So what was the turning point? Like, how did you do this? Because people are going to hear this and they're like, what changed?
Yeah. My thoughts. That's like the easy, like quick answer is 100% my thoughts. And I'd say like practically the things that I changed was I simplified my business. I got rid of the membership and really just simplified the content that I was putting out. And I was showing up and I'm still showing up with confidence that I can help people and giving value, but also speaking with this like authority that I know that I can help people. That I feel like has been a big change. And then another practical thing that I have changed is sounds so silly, but putting out more offers. Like I realized that I really wasn't offering ever. I was very afraid of, oh, I don't want to be too salesy and I don't want to offer too much. And at this point, I'm like offering everywhere that I can. And not afraid of that. And it's definitely been working.
So good. Yeah. People are taking you up on it. So what do you think, like mindset wise, thought wise, like what were some of those big mental shifts that you had?
I think the biggest mental shifts have been around just believing that I have a unique voice in the space that I'm at and believing that people want what I can give them and help them with. In my space, I take a non-weight loss, non-diet approach and really help people create more sustainable healthy habits through changing their mindset. And there was this thought that I really struggled with of people just want to pay for weight loss, but I had to work around that and really prove to myself that I do believe that people want something that's going to last. They want to do the maybe harder work on their brains versus just doing the simple approach to just going on another diet. So I think that was a big turning point for me. And then just getting rid of, like, I was following a lot of other people in my field. I was following a lot of other like business coaches, health coaches, and I just cleared that out so that I could focus on, this is my unique voice, and fine tuning that, and really just like not being afraid to repeat myself also. And just like honing down that message and just sharing it again and again and again. That was really, really huge.
So good. I think as women, like a lot of the like socialization or like messaging we get is around like, you don't have something unique to offer. People don't want to pay you money for your expertise. Like it isn't expertise. I feel like there's so much like downplaying our brilliance and what we have to offer that we are just like taught to do or socialized to do. And I think so much of the work that we all have to do to be able to make money is around that and breaking down those stories. That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I want to go around and I have a couple of questions. So the first one that I'm curious about from each of you is, what made you decide to join Mama to CEO? Like for all of you, like you've kind of already talked about a little, like you knew me and had a thought about me and, working with me, but I'm curious, like, what was that thought that you had in that moment when you decided like now is the time? Victoria.
I think for me, like I had tried, like I said, in 2021, I was working with more of like a business strategy type coach, and it didn't work at all. I think I signed like one client with her in the whole year. And I realized I had that like epiphany almost, like, I know this is my mindset, and I knew what I was struggling with. And so I knew that this was going to work. And I also was like, I need this, and I'm just going to go all in and make it work too. I think it was like twofold. And so I kind of just had this thought of like, I honestly was at this point where I was so exhausted after 5 years of just like, I remember one comment a friend of mine made. She was like, is all the work that you put into your business worth it? And I was at that point, I was like, no, it's not. This is really hard. But yet there was part of me still that, like Michelle was saying earlier, like there was part of me that just knew that it was going to work if I just kept going. And I don't know, I knew that my mind was holding me back from making money. And I was doing all the strategy stuff and it wasn't working. And I knew that that was the missing piece. And so I loved your approach. And also I really wanted to be in a group where I was with other women who were raising my own expectations of myself. And I feel like that's what I've already grown in so much. Like to even hear people talking about like 5K months, like I was like, that is never going to happen to me. And the more that you surround yourself with other people, I've found who are making money, other women who are making money, and like you talk about all the time, making money, not like going crazy and like stressing themselves out, and being able to, like, one thing that's really important to me is being able to be a mom and like be present with my kids and be really successful. And like you've talked about so often, is like the world is going to tell you that the two can't exist. But when you're in a group like this, you see that it is possible. And so I think that honestly, like that's worth way more than $2,000 in and of itself. Like it's so worth it. So I knew I needed that and wanted that for not only like this year, but for future years, for the future success of myself and my business.
I love that. So good. Michelle, how about you?
Yeah, for me, the thought that made me join Mama to CEO was, I matter and I am worth investing in. I am worth spending this money for my dream. Like, I matter too. And I think like that was kind of huge for me because, you know, normally I would like put the money for the family or put the money for, you know, goals that we had as a couple. And I remember sitting in my office and I had like the money in my business account and I was like, no, I matter too. Like, I can spend something where it's important just for me. And for me, like, the idea of being in Mama to CEO was that it was like your teaching and your style it was like, you know, like how sometimes you see a really awesome bag and you're like, you know, I want this to be a part of my story. Like, I want this to be a part of my life. And it's like, no, but I don't want to spend money on myself, you know, even though everything about it is so attractive. It's exactly what you've been looking for and you really feel you want, and you really feel like it would support you. Like, I kind of had to reach a point where I was like, yeah, what I want matters. And I really wanted this for myself.
So good. So important. Emma, how about you?
For me, it had to do a lot with simplicity. I could see the way that you built your business. It wasn't like all these bells and whistles. You know, there wasn't all that. It wasn't a complex marketing plan. You were always teaching about, you know, simplicity during design. That was one thing. I used to be in a corporate job where making a lot of money to me equates burnout, being miserable, not having time with my family. And I could see through your example that it didn't have to be that way. So for me, that was huge. And that's, I think, what had me sign up for Mama to CEO.
I love that. So good. Halima, how about you?
So for me, last year I took time off of my business, almost probably 6 months. I was just done because I was working so hard, kind of like what Victoria said, you're putting out so much content, but you're not getting a return on it. And I was like, what's the point? I needed a break. So I stopped and I missed it. So I knew I wanted to restart. And I knew, just like the other ladies have said, this has to work. Like, it's going to work. I'm going to make it work. And I knew couldn't do that by myself. I already tried that. I've tried other programs. And I knew if I invested in this, I was going to treat it like it was my boss. You know, I was going to make sure I made my investment back fast and do the work, because so many times, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've listened to the teachings from other courses and things, and you're like, okay, I'll implement that, but you don't do it. And I told myself, like, this has to work. If I'm going to put so much time into it and take the time away from my kids to work on this, it has to work. And so my husband was actually out of town one weekend and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to download everything, get through as much as I can and implement as much as I can, and like treat this like it is my full-time job. If I expect to make full-time money, I have to show up in a way that says that too. So, and I knew it would elevate the community. I've been in communities before where it was just, it didn't raise my thinking. It never like challenged me. It was just everyone's in there checking the box. And I knew this would be different, and it absolutely was.
I love this energy of like, this has to work. Like, I'm just like committed to making it work. That is also how I invest, and not so much anymore. Like, now I just know the results that I'm going to get really clearly when I make investments for coaching. But like my first few investments, I really was like, I just like don't have this money to waste. So if I'm putting this money into it, it has to work. And I'm taking full responsibility of making it work. And I think that energy is so powerful. Like, making an investment like this, coming into it with that, it like, it will work. Like, you will achieve what you want to when you have that energy. So I love that. I love that. A couple of you said that. Okay. The next question, and Michelle kind of talked about this a little bit, but I know it's really common for a lot of moms, especially, to really like worry about the impact that it will have on their family in like a negative way, or like feel really guilty about investing time and money into growing their business. So I am really curious to hear from all of you. Like, how did you deal with that? how have you balanced that, overcome that? How do you think about it? Halima, what are your thoughts about that?
I think that's always one that we struggle with. Like you said, as moms, we go to Target for something and we come out with nothing for yourself. That's what you needed to go for. You buy everything else for the kids. For me, I really had to think, where are we spending our money? Like we'll go spend so much money on things that don't matter and something I'm not getting an investment back in. And I knew that this isn't just spending money. This is an investment. And when I'm investing in myself, I'm telling myself a lot. Like I'm saying that I do believe that this can happen. And with my kids too, I have a 7-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, and they've seen me build my wedding business. And of course, with 2020, what happened there, couldn't do weddings. So it was hard for me. It was a struggle not to have that business. And, they're used to seeing mom get ready and go run her business and have her team over. And so I knew that I still wanted to be an example. And if I couldn't do it that way, I wanted my kids to see that it works. For some reason, I think because I work from home, a lot of times they were like, oh, well, dad goes to work. Dad does this. I'm like, well, just because I'm balancing it doesn't mean that I don't work too. And I want to set that example for them. And when I know I'm investing in myself and taking the time for myself to do these things, I know that my kids will too. And I mean, it's helpful. My husband's super supportive and everything too, but even if he wasn't, I think I would probably just make sure I'm investing in myself, because I can't balance my family. I can't make them happy. I can't run a happy home if I'm not there. And so I know that's always been really important to me, is treating myself the way that I would hope my kids will treat themselves so they can be happy as well.
Yeah, I love that. I really think like it's such a good example that we give them of going after our dreams and being willing to sacrifice and risk for that, and modeling that. I think it is such a like cool thing for our kids to see. Emma, what do you think?
Yeah, so kind of the same. So it's important to, like, if I want to see the growth that I wanted in this business, I knew I needed to invest. And I had, like, the year before, I had invested in life coaching and I had seen that transformation. So for me, it basically came down to, if I wanted to hit my goals, if I wanted to get where I wanted, if this business to provide my family everything that I wanted to provide for my kids and my husband, I knew I needed to invest. And I did struggle a bit with the decision. I remember sitting with it, for like a day. And my husband and I talked, and he thankfully is very supportive. He understands the power of having a coach and being in a program. And so he was also, he's like, do it. You need to do this. You need to do this for yourself. And yeah, so I went for it. And, it's been one of the best things I've ever done for my business. It's really transformed things for me.
I love that. So nice to have a supportive partner.
He's amazing.
Michelle, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it was really being in integrity. Like I tell the women that I talk to, and I've talked to like over 100 women at this point, I tell them that they're worthy and that they're the total package, and that they deserve so much, and they deserve for their dreams to come true, and they deserve to get help when they need it. And so it really was just a matter of integrity for me to say that to myself, that I deserve help. I deserve my dream to come true, and I'm worth all of this. Like if there's something that would just make me happier, something that would make me feel more confident, I deserve that. And it's just a matter of integrity that I teach the same thing to single women every day. And I was like, I wanted to live in that too. I wanted to experience what I was offering them. The fact that I am worth investing in, and I'm worth creating the life that I want and getting the support I need.
That is so good. I love it. I love this thought. Like, I deserve help. I saw in a Facebook group recently, there was a mom who has 2 kids that are under 2 years old, and she was like really beating herself up about it being hard and not wanting to ask for help, because she was like, I should be able to take care of my kids myself. And I was like, no. The only problem in this whole thing is how you are thinking about it, and like the pressure you're putting on yourself. And And it's like kind of shaming, I think, to be like, I should be able to do it all on my own. Like, nowhere is that written. Like, that is not a rule. It's something we all think for no good reason. It's like not even how humans used to be. Like, humans used to be so much more in community and in support. And I think like any message we can put out there to all the women listening that they deserve help and support, even if it's just to make things easier for them or happier for them. I love that so much. Victoria.
Yeah. So I think going back to like, I went into design 2022 with the thought of, okay, I just want to like learn from you and see what you're about a little bit. And I actually, I want to say it was during that time, I was not feeling super confident with the coach that I had been working with. And long story short, it all worked out. Like, it was awesome because she actually started kind of going a different direction. I basically let her go and said, we're not going to work together anymore. And then I was like, okay, well, Mama to CEO is opening. And I knew I love getting coached. Like, as a coach, I see the value in that. And I think I heard someone say once that running a business is more personal development than like anything else. And I am like, that is so true. Cause man, the amount that I have grown in the last 5 years, and even like, gosh, in the last like 2 months of being in this program, it's crazy. Like I knew that being coached and being in a program like this was not only going to be great for my business, but also make me a better coach. And I've seen that. So for me, it wasn't like the money. $2,000 felt like a lot because I'd only made 6,000 the last 2 years. I hadn't proven that, okay, I can make a decent amount yet. But yet there was this part of me that was like, I have to do this because also I want to get to this place where, like Michelle was saying, like out of integrity, I feel like if I'm going to be charging my clients, like I have to be willing to do the work on myself too. And I've seen that, in even just like the first consult I had in 2022, I changed my offer. My offer is double anything that I sold last year. And that number, I think if I hadn't invested like this amount, that number would have felt really scary. But because I had done the work to invest in myself, so much easier to come on a call with someone and be like, okay, this is what my price is because I've already done the work myself. So it was like I'm almost like, thank you for charging that because it's helped me to grow in my own self-concept and be a better coach and sell more. So that's been cool. But kind of a funny story. I was sold on like, all right, I'm signing up, and I presented it to, we were talking about husbands. I presented it to my husband, and my husband's an engineer and he is like very methodical. Like I have to come with like all the facts of like, this is what's happening. This is our game plan. And so I basically came to him and I'm like, this is what I'm doing. We have the money. This is what I'm doing. And I had to kind of approach it like, I think you coached me a little bit on this in design, but I was like, all right, let's talk about like, if I was like getting a loan from our family, like how would we go about that? So that's kind of the method we went through. We essentially as a family, like loaned me half of it. I had half from my business, and we had this like deal, which is so funny to think back on, but we had this deal where he has kind of been through the trenches with me for this whole time. And he was like, all right, if this doesn't work, you got to have a game plan. You got to give it up basically. And I was like, I was so confident that it was going to work that I was like, all right, if I don't make $6,000 this year again, then I'm quitting. But I knew that wasn't going to happen because I was so sure. But it's just funny now. It's like, all right, take that. I made over that in 1 month.
I love it.
And he's so supportive of it. But there was a little while that he was like, are you sure? Are you just going to be spending money? But I was like, no, we're making it happen. So yeah.
That's so good. Something I always like to think about like along those lines is like, for a partner who's like part of the decision too, what's the like return on investment that they would need to see to really feel like it was worth it to invest that? And I think that can be such a powerful question in those conversations to think about, like, okay, if you are investing in this, like investing in me, lending the money from the family, whatever it is, like what would make it worth it? And I think it's fun. You had like a deal along those lines and have just totally blown it up. So exciting. All right, let's go around and you can share where people can find you if they want to learn more, if they want to follow you, work with you, all of that. Victoria.
Yeah, so my website is victoria-yates.com, and I'm mostly active over on Instagram at nondiet_RN. And I have a podcast that you can listen to. It's called the Redefining Health Podcast, and put out a new episode every week.
Awesome. Michelle.
Yeah, so you can go to thechristiandatingcoach.com and find me there. And you can also find me at Christian Dating Coach on Instagram. And like I have a lot of fun reels and a lot of fun videos and coaching every week right there on Instagram.
Perfect. Emma.
You can find me on my website, emmaketirai.com, or you can also follow me on Instagram at emmaketirai.com.
Amazing. And we will put all of these links in the show notes so you don't have to worry about spelling. Halima, how about you?
So my website is heyhalima.com. I also have a podcast. It's called the 6-Figure Wedding Planner Podcast, but I am most active on Instagram at Lively Wed Academy.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for joining and telling your stories. And I think this will be so inspiring to everybody who listens. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com. mamatoceo.com.